And our citizens demand and really should expect that when their local public servants, their local firefighters are aware of something that could interact with their family and cause them harm, they want their local fire department to be adaptable to making sure that they can be protected. It's the most fundamental reason that government exists. What I think that we will find with NERIS, both in version 1 and every version that we come to, is it'll be iterative and an opportunity for us to answer all of those questions today that are just unknown.
Welcome. I'm Bill Gardner with ESO. We're here at the kickoff of our series of Navigating NERIS. I'm here today with my friend Tom Jenkins, who is leading this as we move into the future of the fire service. Tom, thanks for joining me. For those that don't know you, which is very few folks, I'm sure, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do now?
Sure. My only God-given talent is I love the fire service. I spent 26 years on the job. I retired as the fire chief in Rogers, Arkansas. Along that journey, I've had the opportunity to serve as the past president now for the International Association of Fire Chiefs in 2017 and 18, but also have served on the Homeland Security Advisory Council for our nation, the FEMA National Advisory Council, and a host of other boards and committees that just really have given me a great perspective and have only strengthened, my commitment to the good work we do. So now honored to be part of the NERIS team and visiting with you today.
This is a great opportunity for you and I to get to hang out. We're going to do something we do all the time, and we're going to talk a little bit about NERIS. One of the things that you and I both know is coming from our backgrounds, both being fire chiefs, both going through and being in the business, the source of truth is really important. There's in the fire service, there's telegraph, telephone, telefireman. And sometimes that's not always the best way to get the information that we talk about. So I appreciate you sitting down here with us today to talk about NERIS. I think we ought to start down a road because there's so much information out there. But let's just start with what NERIS is.
Oftentimes when we interact with fire chiefs and firefighters and other decision makers, we always kind of start there. That if you can understand what NERIS is, you also understand the why. The why as to how it's being developed, and also why it's so essential that we get this done on the expedited timeline that we have in front of us. The National Emergency Response Information System, the most common answer we get, so your customers, the constituents we have across the country, the most common response is that it is the replacement for the legacy info system. But what we're doing, there's so much more, right? It's not just the system that we grew up in. Right. That was last updated, I think, the year after I came on the job. We're retired now. That system was a filing cabinet, right? Yeah. It collected. Nobody could say that it didn't collect some data. You could debate the value of the data, the modernization of the data, but it collected some information. What was an issue with it is that it never evolved, and it was hard to extract any information that was actionable. I felt that way as a fire chief, right? So the back half of my career, I certainly respected the fact that we had to do a better job to understand how we were delivering service to communities, what our risk was, what our performance was. You go through accreditation, or you just want to know how well you're serving your community. You're just obstacle after obstacle in the legacy system. And so NERIS is a replacement for the legacy system, but it is a modernization of the data set that we're going to use to tell our story. It's an expansion of the data and a system architecture that now takes into consideration things that we've never understood before, like community risk reduction, the geospatial characteristics of deployment and response. And I think where it excites me, where it interests me, is that that's just where we start. Like, it's a system that's designed to expand because during your time on the job, the business changes, right? Whether we're talking about active assailant, active shooter, whether we're talking about the type and disposition of fire in the wildland environment, like, there's no shortage of examples where we just have to be adaptable in this business. So that's what NERIS is a system designed to take care of understanding what we do.
I think you hit on a really great point with that definition and that explanation of the why. For years, we haven't been able to answer a lot of questions. You've sat in council meetings, you sat at federal hearings, the same as I've sat through those things and gone through of being asked questions and how do we answer that? And I think one of the things is a lot of people ask, well, why did we need to change? I think you would agree that some of that needed to change is because we need to be able to answer those questions. And being well respected, being in the fire service as long as you have, do you feel like we're going to be able to answer some of those long-term questions that we've been trying to ask about what we're doing?
Absolutely. I think that there's a couple of comments I think I would have. One is that we work in an environment, both internal, our firefighters, external, the community, in which when problems and hazards are identified, they don't expect months and years of research to go into the solution, right? The firefighters want to be protected. They want to be equipped. They want to be trained appropriately to interact with the environment that they have to operate in. And our citizens demand and really should expect that when their local public servants, their local firefighters are aware of something that could interact with their family and cause them harm, they want their local fire department to be adaptable to making sure that they can be protected. It's the most fundamental reason that government exists. And so what I think that we will find with NERIS, both in version 1 and every version that we come to, is it'll be iterative and an opportunity for us to answer all of those questions today that are just unknown. I mean, it's easy to look at what's happened recently in the Palisades or Lahaina and go, like, we don't understand that. Yeah. I think of my time as a firefighter in which, the large wildland incidents, the large wildfire incidents that I encountered today are maybe medium-sized incidents for those same firefighters at those departments. Do you look at lithium-ion batteries and the emerging hazards that they present that are just different, right? Traditional firefighting tactics don't necessarily work with lithium-ion batteries and thermal runaway. And so you can pick a topic area and know that we just have to be asking questions that are different. We have to integrate definitive data sources that we have to inform maybe the context of what we're seeing and what we're encountering. And it's going to be those examples that will help firefighters transition. Like most firefighters and fire chiefs, especially those that are successful, they're good storytellers today. Storytelling is not going to cut it. Yeah. Not by itself. Yeah.
You got to back it up.
We're going to have to back it up with data. Yeah. And so that's what I think our system does fundamentally.
I think you hit on a point that is a question that comes up all the time. And people go, well, why are we doing it so fast? Why do we have to do it right now? Why? We've been this way for almost 50 years. Why are we changing? Why does it have to change right now? And I think that's an important item for people to understand the need for the timeline. And more importantly, the action timeline that they need to follow.
Mm-hmm. I think a fair criticism of the project, and maybe our biggest obstacle, has been the rapidity that we've had to not only develop the system. The system's alive today. It's not pie in the sky. And that speaks to the character and the commitment of the development team. But the real reason that we've had to be on such an aggressive timeline that has still engaged the fire service, turn by turn, is that the legacy system infers will be decommissioned at the end of this year. Incidents occurring in 2026 and beyond will not go into infers, period. And we have nothing to do with that. That has nothing to do with the NERIS team. It's a separate and sovereign case, but it does inform what we have to do. That we know that the oil of the fire service to get things done, to make sure that we're appropriately resourced, it is data. And what we do not want is to have any lapse for local departments, and certainly not nationally or at the state level, in understanding the characteristics of response and emergency incidents. And so we have to be on this timeline knowing that the old system's going away, and that impacts local fire departments. That one of the reasons I'm very thankful that you all and the other technology partners are helping us share the word and inform your customers and constituents, is that it requires firefighters and fire chiefs to not only know about this new system, to make sure they're prepared, but let's call it what it is. We got to shift the conversation a little bit. We can modernize the data set. We can make it more timely so that we can understand not a year at a time, but a day at a time what's going on. But we have to make firefighters care about good data entry, We have to make sure that they understand the importance of accuracy and timeliness in that data. And we have to respect the story that we're telling in terms of incident response, just like some of those other professions that are kind of, across from us, the medical profession, law enforcement, and criminal justice. They get it. They understand that data is how you put bad people behind bars. It's how you solve health problems, and it's also going to be how we make better and safer our communities.
I think one of the items that is really a tell for where we are in this day and age is we have needs. We have needs in the fire service. We have fire changes that we've never seen before in things that are taking place. We have firefighters facing illnesses and disease processes that we don't have all the answers to still today. And we have a community that's asking us questions. Mm-hmm. This is the process to get there. And I think the point that you just said is we've got to get fire chiefs and firefighters to change the concept to understand you're part of the solution. It's not just a task. We need you to be part of the solution to take care of each other. We routinely have the conversation when we promote, when we take our oath, all the things that we do, that, I'm going to take care of the men and women that are on this unit with me. I'm going to take care of the men and women in this organization. We're going to take care of every citizen that comes through our community, that lives in our community. This is the next step in the part of that to get the information to do that. We talked about the changes and we've talked about all those things. It's really an opportunity, and we've got to start embracing that opportunity during this transition. So we talked a little bit about this transition, the timeline. What's the timeline? Where are y'all at? You talked about decommissioning of INFRS. Do you agree, and does it look like we're still on track? By the end of 2025, we're going to have the ability for all of us to be reporting into the systems.
Absolutely. So we have departments. We have a handful of departments that are reporting incidents into the system today that have made that full transition. We will begin to see, through the help of our technology partners, larger jurisdictions that will begin to make that transition. So up to this point, what we've done in terms of onboarding departments, and something that's important for your customers to understand, and the fire service in general, is that onboarding, it can sound like it's a like you're breaking away from the old and you're going completely to new. That's not necessarily the case. That there's some gray area here. One of the things that NERIS does that the old system does not, or did not, is that it is also the definitive record of the department. It's telling us information about the emergency response entity, the department, the stations, the units there, the staffing, the characteristics of deployment, the services provided, the shift schedule, you name it, right? It's just kind of the census record of the department. And so you can onboard by simply making sure that the information we have about your department is correct, making sure that the associated geographic shapefile we have for your jurisdiction is correct, because we need that to be able to produce some baseline level analytics. But so when you onboard, you start first there, and then the incident transition really varies on a couple things. First of all, it's our responsibility to make sure that departments can participate in NERIS in a multitude of ways. They can use a technology partner, an RMS. They can use the free incident data collection app if that's all they need. And so depending on how you're going to connect, that can influence when you decide to go from the old to the new. We never want departments inputting information into both systems.
Right.
Just when you decide to make the pivot, you make the pivot. We want them to do that in 2025 by the end of the year. But the timeline is local, that you're going to have some jurisdictions that even if the technology partner is ready, even if we're to their FEMA region for onboarding, maybe that particular month they do promotions, and it's just for whatever reason it's a bad month. That's a local decision, right? So just because they're on board, it doesn't mean that month they have to do all of it. But we are on time, we're on target, we're under budget. We have a lot of strength behind us, and we'll meet the need. What we have to have is we have a strong partnership with the state fire marshals. They have been very vocal advocates for. They probably understand the legacy system better than anybody else.
Yep.
And they have been vocal advocates for what they need, what modifications we need to influence the system. And some of our most successful deployments have been where we've worked hand in hand with the state, but it's also those local departments that they can't sit around and not pay attention.
Right.
They've got to be engaged. And that goes with pick a topic in the fire service. They got to, decisions are made by those that show up.
Yeah.
And so they have to be paying attention to what we're doing. They need to reach out if they feel like there's some ambiguity. But I would encourage anybody just to be resourceful. You go to neris.fsri.org. Certainly there's information elsewhere too, but at that site you can really gain some good insight into what we're doing. And FEMA region by FEMA region, by December 31st, 2025, we'll have knocked on everybody's door. We'll have rolled out the welcome mat, and us working together, we can get this done.
I agree. I think that's one of the things. There's been a little bit of confusion with people interpretation.
Yeah,
it happens. We've had customers that go, well, this is our region's date. And just like you said, work with your vendor.
Uh-huh.
Talk with them. Your vendor's going to get you there by the end of the year. And, we're going to get our folks there by the end of the year. They're going to work with you to get you there. Just work with them and communicate with them. You may not go in that region,
uh-huh.
but you'll get there, and you'll get there in a timely manner. And there's a lot of people that are excited. There's a lot of people that are scared, but I think this is the great opportunity that we as the fire service have been looking for a long time. We've talked about go register. We've talked about work with your vendor. If you're one of these small agencies, you don't have a vendor, it's okay. There's still a tool out there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Go get it. Go do your thing. What do chiefs need to start saying to their people, you think? Because we talked a little bit about the importance of culture. What is it that a chief needs to say to his organization?
I think that, organizationally, I'll answer that in two ways. One is that, if you're a chief, right, you got somebody paying attention, you're a chief officer, you're the chief of the jurisdiction, the first and most important thing you're going to do is you're going to assign somebody to this project. Like, don't ignore it. Don't expect that the information will show up in a manner and timeline that works for you. Like, you got to be involved. Now, in terms of what they need to say to the organization, this is a pivotal time in the history of the fire service in which we can now engage firefighters. It's a paradigm shift. And I think it's two things. We've got to educate them on what we're doing. I realize that guys like us are probably I don't know that we're the best example, but I really believe that when you look at the questions we're asking, the values that firefighters have to choose from, the fact that one of the most fundamental aspects of NERIS is that we've designed it to reduce the data entry burden on the firefighter. Yep. So said plainly, we're trying to make it a better system and make it easier on your average firefighter at 3 a.m. when they've been up twice since midnight to give us timely and accurate information. And when we have that becomes actionable intelligence.
Right.
And so I think firefighters need to know that this is not a system that's designed for somebody else. It's really focused on them. And that's not lip service. And the second thing is that I think when firefighters take a look at the data set, they're going to see evidence of that we're asking about how they saved people. We've never asked that question before. No. We're asking, about information regarding emerging hazards. We're asking for information and values that center around incidents that before were hard to characterize. And so I think firefighters will find that, this is important. Fire chiefs need to take this opportunity to show them the importance of it, to emphasize good data collection, good data entry. And then the other thing is that we have to make sure in our fire departments, there's no magic switch in Emmitsburg, Maryland or Washington, D.C. where we can say, hey, we're going to start doing better as a profession at data entry and then using the data. And I wish there was. It's going to be station by station, shift by shift, captain by captain, department by department. People going, hey, it's not business as usual. We're going to do better, and it's going to start with me. And when we see that, like it's a different game.
That's such a true statement. And that's change. That's how we manage change in the fire service. Always has been. It's going to start with me, and I think this is an opportunity for those that are leaders, both formally and informally, to start driving that change, to make that go forward.
Absolutely.
So, Tom, as we get ready to wrap this up, and you and I go to talk about what our next meal and drink is going to be, This is a beginning. This is really a new beginning for the fire service. We've talked about all the great things that we can do with NERIS, from capturing multiple incident-related items, the car fire that started, the grass fire that burned the outbuilding, to the ability to capture rescues, which has just blown my mind my entire fire service career on why there wasn't a standardized way to ask where you rescued somebody. Did you even rescue somebody? And the ability to show what the U.S. Fire Service is doing is going to be great. But that, now we've started. Where do you see NERIS going in the future? What do you see about that?
Well, I don't know how good my crystal ball is, but so let's look in the past, right? So, Columbine happened just right. It was about this time in 1999. So we know that active assailant, active shooter, somewhat recent. Domestic terrorism wasn't a thing until really the 93 World Trade Center bombing. Hazmat wasn't a thing until the SARA, Title III in like the mid 80s. So what I can tell you is that NERIS will evolve in two ways. I think that the traditional mission of firefighting will cause it to evolve, that we'll get these firefighters. You got firefighters right now that have started on their own. The Firefighter Rescue Survey, Firefighter Mayday Survey started in January. And these are firefighters that want to know more information about circumstances that are life-threatening to civilians, to firefighters. So there's evidence right now that the 1.1 million firefighters out there, they care greatly about our traditional conventional mission. That is still a big deal. Right? More people die in fires and all of their natural disasters combined most years. And so I think that you'll find evolution in the character of data that we're collecting, the options, the depth. And so I think in another arena, you're going to find that the fire service of the future will continue to fight fire. That will always be a threat, but it's also all this non-fire stuff that we do, whether it's EMS, mobile integrated health, community paramedicine, hazardous situations, rescue. I think that you'll see a system that will comprehensively grow and expand into areas where we just need to know more information. And I think that growth, Bill, it's not necessarily going to be from guys like us that maybe kind of live in this business. I think it's going to be firefighters, and it's going to be some of these people probably at your conference and at other conferences who go, I see an ability here to answer a question that for years I've been unable to answer, or that I just need to know. And now that we have technology that has the architecture to interact with other systems, with other data sets, like we have the full potential to make being a fire chief, for the first time maybe in the history of fire chiefing and making decisions on the fire department, maybe we make it a little easier. Maybe we make we create an environment where if you've got a question, we can help you answer it from a geospatial perspective, a risk perspective, a deployment or performance perspective. And that's where I think you see the system going.
Thank you, my friend.
Anytime.
From those of us here at WAVE 2025, to be personally getting to sit down with you and chat, it's one of the greatest things I get to do. Thank you for spending your time with us.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. For additional information about ESO and NERIS, please refer to ESO.com. Thank you. Be safe.